Hey, welcome back. If you happen to watch this, that'd be cool. If not, you'll never know. Um, Someone's dad, that's kind of my channel title, so that's kind of what I'm going to call myself. It's not my name. My name's Shelby. Yep, guy named Shelby. Used to be common, not so much anymore. Anyway, you want to get in a lot of scraps as a kid, be a boy named Shelby after Steel Magnolias has already come out in school. Not really. Everybody was pretty cool back then. Nowadays, a lot of younger people are confused, especially when I tell them my wife's name. They get confused. But so I'm going to talk about the usual stuff I talk about, but I also wanted to talk about these. These are some Air Force Ones I got on Poshmark for my Ted Lasso costume that I'm going to be doing at Dragon Con. Easiest costume ever because it's just clothes. But Richmond AFC Richmond colors on these. These are like one-offs that somebody ordered from Nike and on the website or whatever. But I got them from Connie, who sent a great card. Shelby, thank you for your purchase. Hope you love the shoes. I do love the shoes, Connie. I know you'll never see this, but they are unworn, and I am really torn between taking them out and trying them on and just leaving them like this until I need to wear them. But I'm not a sneakerhead. I'm like not really into cool sneakers, but I really like these. I mean, they're good colors. It's not just straight up red, white, and blue. You got some Carolina blue in the swoosh, harking back to kind of Jordan, UNC, but also that's one of the other colors in AFC Richmond, along with the red and the dark blue and the white. So I'm looking forward to these. My wife was like, they look big. I was like, yeah, Nikes, I have to get a big size because of my wide feet. And with one-offs like that, how are you going to get anything, particular? Like I said, I'm not a sneakerhead, but I'm really excited about these. So more Ted Lasso cosplay stuff. Mustache is coming in, and yesterday I had a thought. I was like, oh crap, I wear glasses, right? Ted Lasso doesn't wear glasses except for his Ray-Bans, and I've got an old pair of aviators that I'm going to wear outside, but indoors I kind of need my glasses on. Probably won't wear them actually a lot of the time because I don't have to have my glasses to survive. Like, I had glasses from the time I was 13 until I was I lost a pair at 18 and then didn't get any more until after I got out of the military at 26 years old. I passed military sight tests. I scored expert on multiple small arms without my glasses. And also I was misdiagnosed as a kid as far as my glasses went as being nearsighted when I actually had astigmatism. And then when I got older and decided to get some more glasses again, that's when that was figured out. And anyway, I can live without them. I can survive without them. I couldn't drive without them pretty okay, except at night. Astigmatism. But wearing the glasses and having a mustache and stuff, I was like, I look a little bit like Ned Flanders. But that tracks, because there was a scene in Ted Lasso where he says, come on, man, I'm basically Ned Flanders doing a cosplay of Ned Flanders. And that's cool. And I thought, what if I did like an alternate crossover of instead of Ned Flanders or Ted Lasso, I'm like Ted Flanders or Ned Lasso. And it's like some sort of weird crossover of, hi, I'm Ted's brother, Ned Lasso. Anyway, kind of silly, but that kind of silly is great. That kind of silly is healthy. It's fun. It's the kind of thing you need in your life. It's good for you. What is maybe less good for you but important is all the reading I've been doing lately on Substack and videos I've been watching on YouTube of the absolutely, for lack of a better phrase and for a topical modern phrase, cringe behavior that men engage in, and how it actually affects women. Substack's amazing for this because you're reading what people are writing in their personal voice, their personal thoughts, and they're taking the time to think it out and put it down through a keyboard so that you can empathize with them. One problem that we might run into is that there are male role models in leadership and politics who are saying that empathy is a bad thing, that empathy is dangerous, empathy is harmful for for men. And that's nonsense, just nonsense. Just take that nonsense and walk on home. That's ridiculous. Empathy is vitally important because if you see somebody else as a human being, apart from very specific things, it's unlikely that you haven't shared the same feelings at some point. Not at the same time or anything, and not in common, but that you haven't felt what they are feeling. And if you're not willing to embrace and admit that and do something with it, then you are going to dehumanize them, even if it's only mentally. You're not going to be willing to listen to them. You're not going to be willing to stand up for them when they are put in a position that you understand because you felt it yourself. Along with that, what I have been reading and watching is kind of terrifying. For not necessarily for me as a man and as a guy in America, a white guy, middle class white guy in America, but for every woman in my life, from family to spouse to daughter to friends, it's pretty terrifying. I'm not a statistics channel. Hitting people with facts is something I love to do in person, especially about topics about which I'm well informed, but I'm here to talk to you, not necessarily at you. But I will say that the statistics of how often women feel like prey in the male world, among men, and how often women are actually preyed upon is staggering and terrifying. That doesn't mean men aren't preyed upon also, but we're not here for whataboutism. We're here to talk about the genuine problem, vast problem of how men think about, treat, and behave towards women. A guy got in my comments the other night and said that the real problem was misandry, or misandry, which is hatred of men by women. And I read a great article today where the author broke down. She said misogyny is hatred of women. Misandry is the hatred of men by women who are victims of misogyny, meaning that there's no such thing as misandry if there's not misogyny first and foremost. And the reason this can be true is because, much like the institutional racism that I grew up around all the time, institutional misogyny runs so deep that you might not think you are acting misogynistic. I try not to think that I am, but I know that I am at times, and I monitor my thoughts and try to watch, what I'm thinking, so that what I do and say is not going to be negative or bad for somebody. And it's not just about misogyny, but also race, class, religion, all the things that humans have in common but are also separating us from each other. And institutional misogyny is very real. I have seen it, heard it my whole life. It's not an illusion. And as I've said, I wasn't raised to be misogynistic, but that doesn't mean I wasn't raised in it and around it and influenced by it. I'm sure I've benefited from it. And so it's real. It's not a myth. This isn't something, and misandry, as this guy said, that was the real problem. And I was talking to my wife a few minutes ago. I said, there can't be more than one problem. There's only one real problem. Also, secondly, you're going to have to provide some evidence for that, because misogyny, rape culture, patriarchy have decades of literal academic studies demonstrating that they are real in numbers, like not in how people feel, but in the data. If you're not willing to listen to people and accept that how they feel is how they feel, just look at numbers. That's fine. We'll start there. You got to start somewhere. So, yeah, anytime someone gets on somewhere and says, this is the real problem. The other thing that commenter did, which I'm not trying to, it's actually one of the only a couple of comments I've gotten so far, and but he made an appeal to his veteran status as an example of why the kind of things that I am trying to put across are not valuable and not worthwhile, because real men need to be out there defending civilization from the barbarians. Okay. Firstly, I'm a veteran. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily owed anything more than a normal person, especially when it comes to what I'm actually talking about, which is how we talk and think and act towards one another. That's a different subject. If you want to talk about how entitled you are to my respect, or as like we used to say, I'm a millennial, we were pretty sarcastic. The old vet joke is, thank me for my freedom, or thank me for my service. Not, letting people say thank you for your service to you, which always made me just a little uncomfortable. I've never liked being told that. If you see me in public, please don't, unless you're trying to mess with me. But, the appeal to veteran status and the appeal to being a warrior, and this whole thing that like Hegseth's got going on right now with warrior culture. We need to cultivate our warrior culture and this and that. The only people who need warrior culture apparently are men. Like, what is wrong with us that we need warrior culture? And I get it. I own a sword. It's right over there. It's a real sword. It works. It's not, a prop. And I love that. That's another goofy thing. I love. I am a matured and reformed gun nut, and I don't mean just like crazy stupid gun nuts. I mean, from a young age, I studied weaponry and specifically firearms extensively. I have at least a couple of few shelves of books strictly about guns. That's not including audiobooks. It's never necessarily been a thing of, I want to shoot something up. It's that I was fascinated by them mechanically, also about their cultural significance. And if this video cuts off, I'll probably do a part 2. Getting kind of short, but the scientific study of firearms is something I've engaged in heavily, along with probably due to something to do with the way my brain works. Visual details and cues of firearms. I can spot a particular gun from across a room, even if it's not distinctive, and usually know what it is. So when it comes to guns, it's one of the few areas I would consider myself quite a subject matter expert. So I know about guns. I was in the military, and I joined the military during the GWAT 2004, and May 5th 2004. Yeah, no, that's right, 2004. And I remember the overwhelming surge of patriotism, or what I guess I'd probably call patriosity, as a better word to describe what what we do sort of in this country when it comes to our displays of patriotism and the yellow ribbons on the back of the car and, you know, all that stuff. And I value patriotism greatly, and valued my time in service as well. And I'm not discounting any of that. But I also, you know, I pointed out to the guy that, hey, look, I've gotten online and thrown out the old angry vet thing too. And now looking at it, I'm like, wow, that's just another form of expressing entitlement. And, you know, it's not exclusive for men and women. I mean, I've seen women do the same thing. I knew a lot of women in the military who were, you know, awesome people, really good people. But again, that's its own other little cultural niche that can layer on top of misogyny or patriarchy and add just even more layers to the onion that have to be peeled back. So it has been fascinating over the last couple of weeks, really, to spend time listening to women. Now, not in person, obviously. I mean, I don't know that many women in real life. You know, I don't interact with that many. So it's through reading and through watching videos, and it's horrifying out there. Now, one thing I can't tolerate in any sphere of an argument, unless it's like formal debate, because you can have a rebuttal period, but I don't like whataboutism. It's not usually productive, and it's a knee-jerk reaction that oftentimes relies on bad examples, and there's not really any room for that here. You know, I don't have time to do all the whatabouts. Now, the other side of that is, someone might say, well, do you intend to just, you know, gently lead men by the hand until their fragile egos accept the reality of society and that it's bad? A little bit, because if there really is this loneliness epidemic, and there's this thing with, you know, men are unable to have fulfilling social relationships with their fellow men, and also can't manage to, you know, have productive and healthy relationships with women, then I'm going to try to be sensitive to that fact. It is not the way I was raised to gently lead somebody by the hand in a discussion of what's right and wrong. It's not how I was disciplined, and it's not been my experience. Nevertheless, I think that it has some merit compared to me hitting dudes over the head with things that they can't handle. You know, reactionary behavior is typically like putting up a wall. You know, when you create something for somebody to be reactionary towards, they don't know how to handle it, and you usually get an argument, not a discourse. So I'm going to try to be relatively sensitive about this. There's a big old piece of me that wants to be like, you're the problem, dude. You're the problem, I'm the problem, and we have to fix it. And some other videos I might have said some things to that effect. But I am going to try to be a little more nuanced, because humans are nuanced. You know, that's just our reality. Maybe I won't do a part 2. I think this is good enough. Check these out. These are awesome. I can't wait to wear them in about a week and a half at Dragon Con in my Ted Lasso costume. It's going to be a good time. And now I need to go get some supper, which is an amazing beef stew roast thing that my wife made in the crock pot a couple days ago. We take turns on the big meals. We usually make meals that get us through 2 to 4 days at a time. And because of the way our schedules work, we alternate, where she'll do one like Saturday and I'll do one Tuesday, and we intermittently fill things in there. a bit at a time that help us get through the week in a busy life of two people working, having a household, having a daughter, having to do all the things. And I still know that our home labor is imbalanced between us, because she is, amazing. But anyway, I think I'll just end it there for the night. Y'all have a good one.